Well, let's get into election time, where we literally count down to the November 1st local government elections. Tonight on Election Time on Prime, we focus on the Oudtshoorn local municipality. A little bit more about that municipality. It's a Category B located within the Garden Route district of the Western Cape province. It's one of 7 areas in the district. The municipal council consists of 25 members elected by mixed member proportional representation. 13 councillors are elected by first past the post voting in 13 wards, while the remaining 12 are chosen from party lists. In the 2016 local government elections, the DA won a majority of 14 seats on the council, defeating an ANC-led coalition that previously controlled the municipality. However, there's been quite a shift in the state of affairs since then. Well, as always, each candidate will get 2 minutes to make a case on why voters should consider them in the upcoming local government elections. And of course, when that 2 minutes is up, I will unfortunately have to cut you off. We'll then follow it up with questions, and each candidate will be given 1 minute towards the end of our conversation to give us their concluding remarks. Tonight, we feature the DA's Chris McPherson, the ANC's Jongilizwe, Tyatya, the South African Religious Civic Organization's Gavin, Juthe, the Independent Civic Organization of South Africa's Nigel, Everts. Good evening to all of you, gentlemen, and let me thank you so much for your time tonight on News at Prime. So I think how I will start in terms of the order of the opening remarks and how we'll go, we'll just take it according to the layout on the screen that's in front of me. So that means that we'll begin with the South African Religious Civic Organization's Gavin, Juthe. Gavin, you have 2 minutes to tell voters why they should trust you in this upcoming election. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Kathy. South African Religious Civic Organization, SARCO, is really the party that can bring changes to our community, bring services to our community. We have a proven record that even in a short space of 1 year, we could have changed, and we did change certain dynamics within our municipality in terms of projects. We are here in Oudtshoorn, we are not governed from a national Cape Town. We are not governed from Joburg. We are a community party. We are near the community, we are in the community, and we are on the field where the struggle is of our community. We are the party for the future, for the current situations, overturning and turning the economy around, service delivery that is really poorly been done by previous governments in this municipality.
All right, so you have still got quite a bit of time remaining in terms of your 2 minutes allocation, but it's fine, we can leave it there. Let me then come over to Chris McPherson, the DA's Chris McPherson, who's also a former mayor in this area.
Thank you, Kathy, and good evening to all the listeners. Oudtshoorn deserves the best. That's the first thing. And it's only the DA that can make things happen. We've initiated quite a number of projects over the last year, as was stated there by the colleague. And the fact is that there's a number of these projects that need to be rolled out as soon as possible. And we need the support of the people to make sure that what we envisage in our whole approach to a new Oudtshoorn is to say that we have to support the 2030 project that we've launched, and that is a Vision 2034, the Greater Oudtshoorn, where everybody and every citizen can benefit from this. And it's important because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in Oudtshoorn. And we are asking all the voters out there to please give us their support to make sure that we can roll out all these projects so that we can create the necessary jobs, opportunities, as well as give them the security that they deserve at this stage. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McPherson, we'll leave it there then for tonight. Let me come over to you, the ANC's representative, Mr. Jongilizwe. The floor is yours. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Good evening to all the viewers, the listeners, the streamers, the YouTubers. On the side of the ANC, it has always been the ANC that has ensured that the national policies are all implemented, both provincial and local. It was the ANC in Oudtshoorn that have taken the DA to task. This failures to ensure transformative services is rendered to people of Oudtshoorn. It is the ANC that is making a commitment to also, particularly the residents of Oudtshoorn, that we are going to do better and we are going to do more. And we are going to ensure that we are deploying action-oriented people. For the past 5 years, it has been witnessed that councillors of the ANC in council are the most ones that come up with good ideas. That is informed by priorities that are coming from the IDP initiatives to ensure that projects that speak to people of communities are that appearing in the IDP. Unfortunately, most of those projects that are transformative, the DA was unable to roll them out. People of Oudtshoorn would not trust in us as the agency. We've got capable leadership, we've got people that are committed, we have got people that are 100% non-corrupt. With you casting our votes in the ANC, you are ensuring that an improved services and improved living conditions for the people of Oudtshoorn, and that the monies that has been corrupted or eaten by or not spent by the DA, those monies will go to the poor communities. That is what the ANC is standing for. And lastly, we are going to spare no effort in rooting out corruption as the ANC. We have done it. We have exposed the DA on the.
All right, Mr. Tyatya, your 2 minutes is up. We're going to have to leave it there for now. And unfortunately, it looks like we've lost the Independent Civic Organization of South Africa's Nigel Everts. He seems to be having some difficulty connecting to this conversation. We will, of course, bring him back in once we've been able to reestablish connection. Let me come to you, Mr. McPherson. You know, in 2016, one just looks at the result of the vote. The DA had an outright majority in Oudtshoorn. What has happened over the last 5 years? Things seem to have fallen apart, and the DA now really finding itself on very shaky ground.
Actually, it's the opposite. If you take note of the fact that the DA took over a government here in Oudtshoorn that was completely in shambles, and we had a debt of over 300 million, and they had to make sure that this debt had to be repaid, and at the same time make sure that the service delivery actually was fulfilled, their obligation towards the voters. So over the last 5 years, we've worked hard. Can you imagine from where we were with a debt like that? And this year we were awarded the best run municipality in the country. It's the one that had the best run at this stage as the most improved municipality in the country. So that is not just something that has happened. It's hard work that brought us to there. The fact is, it's not in shambles either. It is the previous executive mayor decided to resign from the party, and a few of the members decided to follow him, and they've created a new party, and that's their full right to actually participate in that process. But from our side, the DA just built on that. I took over as the executive mayor, and from then on, things just went all the better for the municipality. And what we started in a year's time, we've done quite significant things for the people, and all the people know it in Oudtshoorn and what has happened over the last year. And we're very happy to see what has happened. So the slight mishap that happened, it's the right of any individual to resign from his party and then take up the new party. So from our side, it is actually the best thing that could ever have happened to Oudtshoorn is in the situation where we are now, where we consolidated. And I believe that we are now in a position to give to the voters the best opportunities that they can get. So I'm actually very happy that this happened. Thank you.
All right. Well, is it all as smooth sailing as the DA's Chris McPherson is putting it to us tonight? We'll give some of his colleagues the opportunity to respond to what he's saying after this quick break when Election Time on Prime continues. We continue our focus tonight on election time on Prime on the Oudtshoorn municipality out in the Western Cape. Joining us for this conversation, the DA's Chris McPherson, the ANC's Jongilizwe Tyatya, and Gavin Juthe of the South African Religious Civic Organization. Unfortunately, we've lost the independent civic organization of South Africa's Nigel Everts due to poor quality of connection there tonight. So, Mr. Juthe, let me come to you. You've heard part of what Mr. McPherson had to say about the role of the Democratic Alliance and the fact that the turbulence that they're experiencing as a party has only strengthened them in that region and has made for better governance. Is that the case?
I must openly disagree with Mr. McPherson. You know, a house divided can't stand, and that has happened within the DA. The turbulent times started, and you know, if the DA with the majority of councils pushed the MEC to the down under administration, you know, they have a vote of no confidence in themselves, because why? They were the ruling party, and they requested an MEC to put the town under administration. And that is really to the detriment of our town. Because why? What investor will invest in our town if he knows the burden placed by the provincial government every time putting and instigating administration on the municipality? It's a burden that our people can't bear any longer, because why? We need investment. We need development in our town to get our people in work, get them jobs, transforming this town, because the town has a history of still building along the group areas lines. Even our housing projects still remain along group areas lines. Building projects hitting pockets of poverty. You know, in towns where for the last 27 years, no new businesses has been created, no new shops has been opened, but still we are building along those areas. There needs to be a new way of development. There needs to be a new mode of development, and there needs to be really skilled councillors, skilled governance to take this town forward, you know, and that's why I totally disagree. You know, there was no way that the previous mayor just resigned. He was pushed out because why? There was a report, an investigation by the Web of Enso, in which the mayor went further than just that investigation. He did laid charges. Nothing has happened. Partially, the Web of Enso report was executed, and still today we were struggling because by the DA refuses to discipline its own councillors, refusing because why the councillors are in the municipality. We are cutting the lights of our poor community while our councillors are owing this municipality money.
All right, Mr. Juthe. Let me bring in the ANC's Jongilizwe to also give the response of the ANC, who, at least by the numbers in the 2016 local government elections, are very much the official opposition in that area. Mr. Jongilizwe?
Viewers, three things as a municipality's role is to facilitate development, to ensure that services are rendered to all communities. It is untrue of what the mayor is saying, in fact the former mayor Chris McPherson. Well, administratively we have managed to save money, but the question is, were we able to develop infrastructure in poor communities? The answer is no. For the past 3 financial years, there has been an under expenditure. The previous financial year, the under expenditure was around 53 million. And the year before that, it was 9 million. And the year before that, it was 39 million. That's an indication that we have a governing party that was running the municipality, and they have failed to spend the money to the poor. And the sad reality is that we have made some borrowings. Last year, we borrowed 16 million. This financial year, we borrowed 20.5 million. Of the 16 million that we have borrowed, we only spent 3 million. We had to roll over that money because it was unspent. We rolled over 12.1 million. That is additional to now to the 20.5 million. That's an indication that the DA governing party was unable to render quality services to people and on time. There was also one event where we wanted to ensure that we respond to service challenges immediately. We had a service delivery charter workshop. That workshop never materialized. People or components that attended was more or less about 20% of different departments within the municipality. It clearly shows that we have people that are unable to govern the town, that are unable to ensure administrations are there to implement plans or policies that is developed to change the livelihood, the living conditions of the people.
Sure.
The issue of Colin Sylvester, the municipalities, the DA, they interfered. They were the ones from their federal offices that was running the municipality of Oudtshoorn. They were the majority 14 people at the time, councillors. We were the opposition. The idea that the DA wants to run, to implement, that they are unable to come up with good plans, ideas that were posed by the ANC as the opposition. Just to make one example, the ward councillor allocation of 50,000 rand to ward councillor was money that was never used. Since 2016, that money have always returned. It was the ANC that have forced the DA at the time that during the hard lockdown, let us avail all this 50,000 rand so that we can provide food parcels to people, particularly to the most needy.
All right, Mr. Tyatya, I'm going to just pause you there. Mr. McPherson, you've been, shaking your head in disagreement for the past couple of minutes. An opportunity for you to respond briefly before we get into the concluding remarks of this conversation.
Thank you, Kathy. I find it rather humorous when I listen to all these statements made by colleagues that have been working very well together actually over this last year to actually enhance the situation of all our citizens in town. Let me give you a few breakdowns. Maybe that will revive their memories. First of all, we've done a lot about water security here in town. We started Blossoms project. We've gone quite far. They're spending 200 million on that. Electricity, where we're looking at solar farm, 3 different ones. For the first time in the history of Oudtshoorn, our sewage works are working 100%. We started a program which we are rolling out on our roads to ensure that all our potholes are fixed. We're looking at housing. At this stage, 532 new houses are being built in Duitsdorp, one of our towns. We are looking at appointing green ambassadors, 60 of them. We are appointing quite a number of safety ambassadors to deal with a lot of your issues. If you're talking about investment, there's no other part, not one of these other parties can draw the investments that we've done. Over the last year, I've really made sure that we have investments already, 40 million into a new mall or to the extension of one mall, 800 million which we're going to spend on a new regional mall. There's a truck stop which we are doing, and there's a lot of these issues which we are doing to ensure that our people get the necessary work opportunities. So if there's any of these other parties that can say that they have a plan on the table, I will gladly join them. But the fact of the matter is they have a lot to say, but it's a lot of talk and no producing anything at the end of the day.
Mr. McPherson, when you look at what the impact of the shifts in the Democratic Alliance in that area have been, are you anticipating that it's going to affect the outcome of this election in the sense that the DA may not find itself in the majority?
It could, the outcome, especially during this election, is something very difficult to gauge at this stage. And I think we all know that. The role of the smaller parties, we have 17 parties participating. But let me give you an example. We're a well-run, organized machine, far better. We were already working quite extensively in all the wards with all the people long before all the other parties even started thinking about it. And this is the thing, is we have the machinery to make sure that we can contest this election. I'm very happy at this stage to say that we have a very good opportunity to come out with an outright majority in the end of the day. From what I've seen at our figures that we have in the canvassing, it shows very clearly that we're in a good position, and I honestly hope that we're not going to end up in a situation where little small parties are going to be in a position where they want to be kingmakers and where they want to the tail wagging the dark, as it has been over the last few weeks.
But Mr. McPherson, you don't get to make that decision. That's up to the voters. How the voters vote on voting day will reveal that. Mr. Juthe, given the fact that there is quite a contestation. There are lots of parties that are hoping that they will end up at least with a portion of the slice of this very small pie. Where does that leave organizations like yours?
This party circle for the last year giving the benefit to make statements like that. The potential of all those projects comes from Sarko and Sarko's intervention into the DA when we had a working relation. So he can't come and claim those projects. As chairperson of that portfolio meeting, I was instrumental in putting those projects up. So there is a desperate and there's a real need for as then call us smaller parties, for the smaller party delivers. We utilize their numbers, and we've delivered this year those projects Mr. McPherson is bragging now about. And we didn't done it for the year because why? Mr. McPherson knows for a fact that there is certain issues that he didn't render properly to our community. Mr. McPherson fails to tell the community that he allows an employee that has transgressed, that fraudulently to the amount of 2 million, and he was still working with that employee for the last 4 years. Now, how can we say they are the custodians of non-corruption if he's working with officials that defraud the municipality to the amount of 2 million? And he, as the previous mayor, has done nothing about it. So he hasn't got that moral higher ground. And that's why I said we, the smaller parties, will definitely see and uphold all those issues in terms of non-corruption, service delivery, because we're in this year, because the previous 4th year, they've done nothing. Just squabbling in between them as the DA and then the rail of the whole process, asking them, the MEC, to put them under administration.
All right, Mr. Juthe. I'm going to pause you there. I'm going to pause you there because we are quickly running out of time to conclude this conversation. So I'm going to give each of you 1 minute to be able to wrap this conversation up and give me your concluding remarks. Let me begin with you, Mr. Tyatya, on behalf of the ANC.
Viewers, as the ANC, we are committed to be rendered for soldiers that are going to ensure that we improve your life. The Vision 2030 strategy of Oudtshoorn, there has not been a plan yet. The only plan that was made available was about 2 months ago, where the DA mayor at the time was even saying that they are going to ensure that they broaden the tourism route to the farming areas. The farming areas are properties owned by mostly white people. We were saying that the tourism route needs to be transformed. The DA is not willing to do that. The youth development budget has been 200,000 since 2016. If you do have sound plans that seeks to improve the condition of people, that budget needed to increase. As the ANC, we are committing to young people to ensure that we're going to put systems and programs in place so that they can be basic income security projects established and social cooperatives.
All right. Mr. Tyatya, your minute is up. We're going to have to leave it there. Mr. McPherson, your minute starts now.
Thank you. When we head to the polls, it's already said, as you said, it's not just Monday. On Saturday and Sunday, the special votes of which we have about 90% of all the votes already in there. We want to say thank you to all the voters that have already placed their confidence in us. By Saturday, by the end of Sunday, we will already know who's won around here, because we have already got a lot of people cast their special ballot. And then I want to say to all the voters, vote, because this is your only chance to voice your own concern for this town. And the only party that can deliver the things that you need in this town is the DA. Your vote as a voter out there can make the difference in ensuring a safe and secure future for all of our people all over the whole of Oudtshoorn. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you to the voters.
All right, let's leave it there. Mr. Juthe, let me also come over to you. You'll have the final word then tonight. Your minute starts now.
Thanks, Kathy. Our voters will come out and they will demonstrate to those two parties, the ANC and the DA. They are fed up with them in terms of corruption. They're fed up with a town that doesn't develop. They are fed up with councillors, and specifically the DA politicians and the ANC, the corruptness within the system, and now consequence management. Either when the DA was in charge or in governance, we want to invite them, we want them to come out in strength and show and demonstrate to the bigger party that who and we and all of us, we need to work together and strengthen our town and start with development, because development will take us out of this COVID clamping, out of this joblessness, out of this homelessness, and we really ask all our community, come and vote Sarko. Thank you.
Your minute is up. Let me thank all of the guests who've been part of this conversation and discussion today. So that is the state of affairs in the Oudtshoorn Municipality.